everyone, and welcome to my dollhouse. I'm Osakachan.doll, and I am very happy to have you here today. Your presence truly means the world to me, and I'm absolutely thrilled to share this adventure with you. I want to say I am sorry in the delay to the video this week. I have been busy with so much, and writing new stories and music for you all. Thank you for your understanding. Before we jump into today's video, I'd like to take a moment to ask for your support. If you enjoy my content, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Your engagement helps me to keep creating exciting, high-quality content just for you. And don't forget to click that notification bell. That way, you'll always be the first to know when fresh, fun content drops. Looking for stylish, playful, and unique merch? Osaka Doll Merch has you covered. Check out the exclusive designs and accessories in the link below. Thank you so much for being part of this amazing community. Now, let's dive right in and get started. Today I will be telling you a short story that I made up that I call Welcome to Sunny Smiles Amusement Park. With that being said, let us begin.
The carousel turns but no one's inside. The laughter still lingers though time says goodbye. Footsteps that echo a whisper, a sigh. Shadows keep dancing where memories lie. When darkness falls they rise from the mist, trapped in a dream where they cease to exist. Around and around they spin through the night, flicker like ghosts then fade out of sight. Torn paper tickets still float in the breeze. A melody plays but no hands touch the keys. Frozen forever they wait in the air, lost little spirits in a broken fair. When darkness falls they rise from the mist, trapped in a dream where they cease to exist. Around and around they spin through the night, flicker like ghosts then fade out of sight.
The Curse of Sunny Smiles Amusement Park. Rumors of the forgotten park. The town of Sunny Smile had long tried to erase its darkest stain, the abandoned amusement park that sat rotting at its outskirts. Once it had been a beacon of joy, a place where laughter rang out like bells, and families made memories under the golden glow of carnival lights. Now, it was a corpse of its former self. No one dared speak of the tragic accident that led to its closure. No one acknowledged the stories of those who wandered in and never wandered out. The town's children whispered of eerie voices carried on the wind, of lights flickering on by themselves, and of a Ferris wheel that still turned in the dead of night. But those were just stories, weren't they? The entrance, the towering welcome arch, still stood, though its once vibrant colors had faded into a sickly yellow hue. The sign overhead, once a cheery beacon, now bore peeling letters that barely read, "Sunny Smiles Amusement Park, where happiness never ends." The irony was suffocating. The turnstiles at the entrance, once clicking merrily with each visitor, were now rusted stiff, as if something inside refused to let anyone leave. At the ticket booth, the glass was shattered, the inside coated in dust and brittle admission stubs. A clown poster, its once friendly face grotesquely stretched into a wide, unsettling grin, was peeling from the wall. Its eyes followed anyone who approached. The midway, the carnival games, stood frozen in time, remnants of a past that refused to fade. Along the empty midway, rotted booths sagged beneath years of neglect, their prizes still clinging to tattered strings. Moldy teddy bears hung limply, their fur eaten away by time. Deflated balloons, once vibrant, now dangled like shriveled husks. Among them, grinning dolls stared blankly ahead, their button eyes dark and lifeless, as if they had seen too much and forgotten how to forget. Nearby, an old cotton candy machine sat motionless, once a whirlwind of bright pink sugar. Its insides were now thick with dust, coated in something darker, something that carried a scent both familiar and wrong. The air was heavy with the sickly sweetness of burnt sugar and decay, mingling into a stench that twisted in the nostrils like a memory gone rotten. A few steps away, a snow cone machine lay on its side, its glass shattered, its bright colors dulled beneath layers of grime. A deep red stain smeared across the pavement beside it, long dried yet disturbingly vivid, like old blood spilled and forgotten. Then a whisper, soft, faint, and almost imagined, and beneath it, barely audible, laughter, thin, hollow, amused. But the park was empty, wasn't it? The carousel stood at the park's center, its painted horses, frozen mid-gallop, their once vibrant expressions, now hollow and lifeless. Once lively and glassy, their eyes had cracked open like gaping wounds, their cheerful grins faded into twisted, peeling remnants of what they used to be. Some of the horses were broken, their limbs snapped off, their heads dangling from rusted poles, as if in a final, desperate attempt to escape. The surrounding air was unnervingly still, too still, yet the carousel moved. A slow, deliberate creak echoed through the emptiness. It wasn't the wind. There was no wind. The Ferris wheel, at the very heart of the park, loomed the Ferris wheel, its skeletal frame, towering against the endless void of the night sky. Though abandoned for years, it still stood, an eerie sentinel over the decayed amusement park. Some of its cars hung precariously by rusted chains, swaying ever so slightly, despite the air remaining completely still. Others had long since fallen, their shattered remains swallowed by the tangled overgrowth below, lost to time and neglect. And yet, the wheel turned. It moved with an unsettling purpose, slow and deliberate, as if searching for something, for someone. If you listened closely, if you dared to stand in the silence for just a moment, you could hear them, the ones who never made it out, their whispers, their pleas, forever trapped in the metal cage of the wheel, waiting, watching, searching for the next visitor to take their place. The haunted house, Bloodheart Manor, tucked away in the darkest corner of the park. Bloodheart Manor loomed like a vulture, silent and watchful. Unlike the other crumbling attractions, it remained eerily intact. No rotting wood, no shattered windows, no signs of decay, because it was still alive. The house was hungry. Its once bright neon sign continued to flicker, the letters glowing in erratic pulsing light. Step inside, if you dare. The doors never splintered, they never collapsed under time's weight, they only ever opened, for the next visitor, for the next victim. The playground, one of the most disturbing areas of the park, was the old children's play zone. The swings still hung from their chains, rocking gently, as if moved by unseen hands. The slides were cracked and warped, but their bright colors, yellows, reds, blues remained unnaturally vivid, untouched by time. A single merry-go-round sat in the center of the playground. It had rusted stiff long ago, yet sometimes, when no one was looking, it would spin ever so slightly. At the edge of the playground, an old speaker system stood, its wires tangled and exposed. If you listened closely, some said you could still hear faint, distorted laughter crackling through the static, like a recording that refused to die. The curse of Sunny Smiles. Locals refused to go near Sunny Smiles amusement park. It was said that the park had never truly closed. It had simply stopped letting people leave. Those who wandered in were rarely seen again, and those who made it out, well, they never smiled again. Chapter 1. Bloodheart Manor. The rusty entrance gate groaned as Hannah pushed it open. Above her, a weathered sign barely clung to its rusted frame, its once vibrant lettering now faded and peeling. Welcome to Sunny Smiles Amusement Park. The park had been abandoned for over a decade, yet tonight, it was not empty. Hannah's flashlight flickered, casting jagged shadows over the skeletal remains of carnival rides. The air was thick, suffocating, unnervingly still, too quiet. Then she heard it, footsteps, soft, deliberate, following her. She spun around, heart pounding, her flashlight beam slicing through the dense darkness. Nothing, no rustling leaves, no shifting shadows, just the eerie silence pressing in around her. No one was there, or so she thought. Then through the veil of night, she saw it, looming in the distance, its presence swallowing the surrounding gloom, stood the haunted house. The name was carved deep into the decaying wood, above its towering doors, Bloodheart Manor, a warning, a tombstone. And yet, before Hannah could stop herself, before she could think, could run, her feet carried her forward. She stepped inside. The moment she crossed the threshold, the heavy doors groaned, then slammed shut behind her, and in the silence that followed, the park whispered, "Welcome home." Chapter 2. A House That Breathes. Hannah's breath hitched in her throat. The air inside Bloodheart Manor was thick, damp, wrong. It clung to her skin, like something alive, something waiting. Her flashlight flickered violently, before steadying, casting eerie shadows along the dust-covered walls. The grand foyer stretched before her, lined with portraits of unfamiliar faces, hollow-eyed, sunken, their painted smiles unnervingly wide. A long winding staircase disappeared into the darkness. To her left, a parlor. To her right, a dining hall. The silence was unbearable. Then a whisper, low, too close. "You're not supposed to be here." Hannah spun around, her flashlight shaking in her hands. Nothing. The portraits seemed to watch her, their lifeless eyes following her every move. Her pulse pounded against her ribs. "It's just a haunted house. It's just for show." Then came the footsteps, slow, heavy, coming from upstairs. Someone else was here. She wasn't alone. Chapter 3. The Red Room. Hannah didn't think. She ran. Her sneakers skidded against the dusty floor as she bolted down a hallway, shoving past a set of heavy, swinging doors. She stumbled into a room, bathed in crimson light. An old four-poster bed sat in the center, its canopy ripped to shreds. Dolls lined the dresser, and bookshelves, dozens of them. Their heads were tilted at unnatural angles, their tiny hands outstretched, waiting. Hannah's stomach twisted, then a breath, slow, deliberate. The door she had slammed shut creaked open. Ice prickled along her skin. She turned, and there, standing in the doorway, was him, tall, gaunt, his body unnaturally stretched, his limbs hanging like a marionette. His face was swallowed by shadow, but she could feel his eyes, watching, waiting. Hannah's breath caught in her throat. Then he moved. She screamed, and lunged past him, her shoulder slamming into his chest. As she shoved into the hallway, she ran, and the house moved with her. Doors slammed shut, the walls groaned, the floorboards throbbed beneath her feet like a living thing. Bloodheart Manor wasn't just haunted, it was alive, and it wanted her to stay. Chapter 4. The Endless Abyss. The front door loomed ahead, slightly ajar. An escape. Hannah didn't hesitate. She sprinted toward it, her lungs burning, her legs screaming. The second she crossed the threshold, the door slammed shut behind her. She collapsed onto the pavement, sucking in gulps of cold night air. She was free. She had escaped. Then a laugh. Low, amused. Hannah's blood turned to ice. She turned her head slowly. The amusement park was gone. No carnival rides. No midway. No abandoned ruins. Instead, she stood in the middle of a desolate neighborhood. The houses were burned to the ground. The trees were blackened husks, twisted and dead. The sky above stretched endless and empty. And in front of her, Bloodheart Manor, still standing, still waiting. The front door creaked open. The whisper came again, curling around her, like a breath on the back of her neck. "You're not supposed to be here." Slam. The door shut, and Hannah understood. She had never escaped. She never would, because the haunted house wasn't inside Sunny Smiles Amusement Park. Sunny Smiles Amusement Park was inside the haunted house, and now, so was she. Forever. Chapter 5. The Laughing Park. The town of Sunny Smile refused to acknowledge what had happened. They never spoke of the disappearances. They never mentioned the laughter that sometimes echoed through the night, carried on a windless breeze. But sometimes, when someone stood too close to the park's rusted gates, they swore they could hear it. A whisper, a giggle, a voice calling from the darkness. "Come inside. We're still smiling. We're always smiling." Chapter 6. The Doll Maker's Game. The room was quiet. Too quiet. Moonlight streamed through the lace curtain window, casting ghostly patterns across the delicate pink wallpaper. A small chandelier, its crystals shimmering softly, hung from the ceiling, swaying ever so slightly, though there was no wind. At the center of the room sat a massive dollhouse. It was a perfect replica of Bloodheart Manor. Every tiny detail had been meticulously crafted. The peeling wallpaper, the rusted carousel in the distance, the cobweb-covered furniture inside the house. It was all there, and standing before the dollhouse, watching intently, was Osaka-chan.doll. She was still as a porcelain figure, her long, delicate fingers resting lightly on the dollhouse roof. Her pale face was expressionless. Then she moved, her head tilted at an unnatural angle. Her glassy two-tone eyes flickered brightly as she peered through the miniature windows of Bloodheart Manor. Something inside had changed. A new guest, a tiny figure, stood frozen in the foyer, a doll no bigger than her thumb. It was Hannah. Osaka-chan.doll's lips parted in quiet wonder. Her voice was soft, sing-song, yet laced with something kind within it. "A visitor, I see." She reached out, her pale fingers brushing the delicate wooden frame of the dollhouse. Inside, the tiny Hannah doll was perfectly still, her painted eyes wide in terror. Osaka-chan.doll tapped her fingers thoughtfully against the miniature rooftop. "You don't belong in here," she said softly. Her delicate hand reached inside, her slender fingers closing around the Hannah doll. The doll's tiny limbs were stiff, frozen in silent horror. With slow, deliberate care, Osaka-chan.doll lifted her from the miniature Bloodheart Manor. The dollhouse groaned ever so slightly, as if protesting the removal of its new tenant. Osaka-chan.doll ignored it, cradling the doll in her hands. She stepped away from the dollhouse, her bare feet soundless against the wooden floor. She turned toward the door. "Let's return you home," she whispered, her voice soft, gentle, final. She stepped out into the dark hallway, her silhouette melting into the shadows. Behind her, the dollhouse shuddered. The tiny Bloodheart Manor sat still and waiting, its miniature doors slightly ajar. The lights inside flickered once, and then, as Osaka-chan.doll gently shut the door behind her, the whispers began again, waiting, watching, for the next guest. The end.
Behind the gates where laughter died, the carnival sleeps but something hides. The Ferris wheel still turns at night, calling names lost in the light. Step inside, don't be afraid. The manor waits,
Thank you for watching. I truly hope you enjoyed today's video and found it both fun and insightful. Your support means the world to me. And if you had a great time, I'd love it if you could like this video and subscribe to the channel. It really helps me to keep creating exciting content just for you. Want to be the first to see new videos? Hit that notification bell so you never miss an update. Your engagement, feedback, and encouragement are what keep me going, and I'm so grateful to have you as part of this amazing community. Once again, I'm Osakachan.doll, and I can't wait to see you in the next video. Until then, take care, stay awesome, and thank you from the bottom of my heart for being part of this journey. See you soon.